All right, everybody. Now, especially lately, I haven't really liked getting as much into YouTube drama. It's fun to occasionally dip into, especially if it's something I actually have, like, a vested stake in. Like the completionist thing, I had a very emotional attachment to because I was a fan of the completionist, at least before the stuff that came out about him came out with all this charity fraud dealio, the alleged charity fraud stuff. As well as the Mama Max situation, because I'd watched a couple of his videos and I'd covered some drama from him, and, you know, I knew who he was, and so hearing that people were just suddenly exploding on him, I wanted to know what was going on. I figured it was worth covering. This drama, on the other hand, is not one that I have any emotional connection to or really any context to go into, other than the fact that a good friend of mine is actually, was actually a big fan of this YouTuber, Chuggaaconroy, and because of this drama, is quite disappointed in what's happening here. And it seems like even Boblax, the person who made the video we're about to react to, was also a Chuggaaconroy fan. So, well, I've never seen this guy's content before. It seems like a lot of people really liked his stuff, and some shit happened, some drama, maybe some really bad things got exposed. Feet season. Oh, yeah, I heard it had something to do with feet. That was a big part of why I decided to cover this, because as you guys know, I fucking hate foot fetishists, and any opportunity to dunk on foot fetish people makes me happy. So that is, I do know that this has something to do with Chuggaaconroy being into feet. I already don't like him just based on that. It's a pretty big L on his part. Alright, let's check out the video. This is a Boblax video. It's called Twitter versus Chuggaaconroy. Let's find out what the deal is with all this. Maybe there's some commentary I can give.
Chuggaaconroy is one of the original gaming Let's Play channels on YouTube who have existed on the platform, consistently uploading with no controversy to his name for the last 15 years. But earlier today, that changed when Lady Emily came out with a thread.
Yes, so this is a big reason why I covered this, because I believe Lady Emily is like a quite big Twitter poster in like the lefty online sphere, and that's why this tweet ended up getting quite a bit of attention. I know that I see a lot of Lady Emily's tweets on my timeline being reposted by other lefties I'm friends with and follow and stuff.
Accusing Chuggaaconroy of trying to initiate foot fetish erotic roleplay with her while he's in a relationship with another person. It's
Sarah Z's co-scriptwriter. Ah. Well, why is it always the feet people? I don't think there's any normal feet people, guys. Like, I don't think people who are into feet are able to be normal about it, you know? Like, it's not just that they're into feet in the same way that someone's into ass or titties. They're into feet and they have to be weird about it, too. That's the thing. Fuck it. Oh, wait, is Boblax going to read this? I'm just going to read this here in case he doesn't. Fuck it, just to get it off my... Well, okay, so this is the original tweet. Okay, one thing I did see on Reddit, by the way, is Lady Emily had tweeted this one tweet here that was, like, super vague, and people thought it was in reference to the false allegations that were made against Quentin Reviews by, like, his ex-editor a while back, like, being brought back up and vague tweeted about. So people were at first giving Lady Emily a bit of shit because they thought she was vague tweeting in support for, like, a debunked set of allegations. So then Lady Emily was forced to, like, be more specific because people were thinking she was talking about Quentin Reviews, who I also like. I like Quentin Reviews content. Good YouTuber. Lady Emily tweeted, the original vague tweet was, scrolling through Reddit and seeing dozens of comments calling the popular YouTuber who sexually harassed you for several months last year a wholesome being with only green flags. Upside down smiley face. Very, very vague tweet. If you're a big figure and you tweet something this vague and this damning, you're going to get a lot of people speculating. It doesn't matter. People are going to speculate. And when enough people, when one person makes a really confident speculation, people will believe it and run with it. And you'll have just started a rumor completely unintentionally. So Lady Emily was forced to quote tweet it with a, elaboration. Fuck it. Just to get it off my chest, last year, Chuggaaconroy kept trying to get me to initiate erotic foot fetish roleplay with him while he also had a girlfriend. This included sending shoes to my house under the guise of a gift only to constantly ask for more feet pics afterwards. Holy shit. This guy was a goblin, dude. This guy was a fucking goblin. Let's hear the rest.
Starts when she tweeted out, scrolling through Reddit and seeing dozens of comments calling the popular YouTuber who sexually harassed you for several months last year a wholesome being with only green flags. A couple hours later, she then
the green gooner. Oh.
Retweeted herself and said, "Fuck it. Just to get it off my chest, last year Chuggaaconroy kept trying to get me to initiate erotic foot fetish roleplay with him while he also had a girlfriend. This included sending shoes to my house under the guise of a gift, only to consistently ask for feet pics afterwards. Eventually, I started ignoring him because I wasn't sure how to
Hey, did you get the new shoes I sent you? Yeah, you should take some photos of how they look on you. No. You have to be wearing them. Don't bother sending the ones where you're not wearing them." Like, that's how I imagine that went. Oh, wait, no, we have screenshots. Great. I guess he's gonna read all of it, so I don't have to read this myself. Thank God, my throat's tired.
Navigate around him, clearly trying to rope me into fetish shit, and in return, his messages to me got more frequent and aggressive. She then shows various Discord screenshots. This first one is from June 11th, where Chuggaaconroy says something to her, and then follows it up by saying, "And beautiful. So, I originally planned to go with black with a floral pattern, but they lacked it in your size. So I went with what I thought was most likely to go with any clothes." She responds, "Oh, honestly, great call, because I love black high tops, but haven't had any in years and years." Chugga responds, "Haha. It's my personal favorite shoe." She responds, "It's a great shoe. Goes with everything."
Okay, maybe this is before the creepy stuff or something, but so far, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of coming off like she's going with it so she can get free shoes out of this situation. I'm not gonna lie. Listen, I know one thing about women, and it's that women be shopping. And when women are shopping, what they're shopping for usually is shoes. Like you would think every woman is a foot fetishist because they fucking love shoes, okay? And I would not be surprised if this girl just kind of stuck through some weird shit to get free shoes out of it. It wouldn't surprise me. Xander Hall, I don't know if you know how devastating this has been for me. I've been a fan for literal years. It seems like I'll need to change that status to X-fan soon, it seems. Okay, so far there's nothing too crazy here other than the cheating. Although, if we see evidence of him being, like, really pushy when given a clear sign, like, no, stop, and there's no, like, double talk. Because, like, I've seen accusations where someone claims, like, a YouTuber was being, like, sexually pushy, and then you see the DMs that are leaked, and, maybe, like, one side, like, the accuser leaks, like, clipped DMs, and then the accused leaks, like, all the DMs, and the DMs in question show, like, the girl says, "I'm not into you like that." The guy's like, "Okay." The girl gets really flirty, and the guy's like, "Okay, maybe she is into me like that," and reciprocates, and in response, the girl's like, "No, I'm not into you like that," and the same cycle repeats, right? And I feel like that's very different. I haven't seen any evidence of that happening here, but, like, that happens. That has occurred. That has happened, and YouTubers have been falsely accused of being, like, overly pushy sexually because of it.
Chugga responds, "Do I get to see you in them?" These next set of messages are from September 16th, and it starts out with Chugga saying, "Ha ha ha ha, thank you. Trying to get a lot done. I want to finish the series, or at least get close so I can travel to Scotland to see my significant other soon." She responds, "Oh cool, I didn't realize she was in Scotland." Chugga responds, "Yeah, pretty far, but we're thinking of immigration next year. Would you like to pick up where we left off last night?" Ha 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 ha, it dropped off suddenly. You tend to disappear. An hour and a half later, he then says, "Oh,
okay, never mind. Now he's like double, triple, quadruple, quintuple, sextuple messaging now to get her to feet post. Okay, yeah. Nope, I see it now. I'm not seeing any mixed signals coming towards Chuggaaconroy, honestly. I think she wanted the free shoes, but the pics, nah, bro.
Aw, gonna ping you once more." And then the next day he says, "Well, hello. Have a nice doctor's visit?" Then 3 hours later he says, "Sorry to ping again, just wanted to know." And then
this is the kind of shit. This is why I never double message unless it's a close friend. Like, regardless of whether it's even someone I'm like flirting with or like into, even if it's just like a bro. Like, I rarely double message unless I'm really close with them and I know they aren't like gonna be weirded out. Cause like shit like this flashes in my mind. I'm just like, I don't want to be one of those people. I don't want to be like, one notification is enough. They've got the ping. They'll see my message when they see it. If they don't reply, they didn't want to talk to me. And if they don't want to talk to me, then they're not worth my time. More people need to have this mindset, frankly.
5 hours later, he says, damn, you're no fun. Kidding, just a little concerned. An hour and a half later, he then says, sorry, that was rude of me. I shouldn't say stuff like that, even jokingly. You have your own stuff going on as much as I do. 2 hours later, he responds, hey. And then 3 hours later, he responds, hey, sorry. Am I...
Yeah, it's not stopping. It's not, I mean, so far it's nothing career ending or that should be career ending, but definitely like best case scenario, it's just a bit of hyper-autism, you know?
bugging you too much? I just got done with work and saw I hadn't heard back. 25 hours later, he says, hey yo, how's today? Feeling any better? And then 3 days later, he says, hey, sorry if I'm bugging you.
Dog, days and days are passing now. Oh, man. Dude, 1 or 2 pings will do it. 1 or 2 pings will do it.
I understand you've got your own stuff going on too. I just wanted to wish you well tonight after seeing you talking about—
I'm begging cishet men to be normal. I'm on my knees. Listen, I do think there's a conversation to be had about why we usually only see men engage in this type of behavior and not women. I think it's a worthwhile discussion, right? Like the fact that like you don't really see women do this, but men do. And the most of the lefty conversation is about how it's because men are creepy and awful and icky, right? But I do think that it's worth having a conversation about how like dudes are in some ways pressured into or even socialized into believing this kind of shit is acceptable, right? Like how many dudes have you met that haven't even considered that this type, like how many dudes have you met that do this kind of shit and haven't even considered that this is like unacceptable behavior, like the heavy pestering and demanding of someone's time, that kind of thing. I think Chugga is just autistic. I get that, and it's possible that's what's happening here. Chugga apologized. We'll look at the apology for sure.
About how much being sick set you back. I've really enjoyed talking to you more through it. I'll leave you be after this message in case you need rest. This next message is from October 26th when he says, I missed you. Then on the 27th he says, are you doing better? 28th he says, blah. 30th he says, blargen. And then on the 1st of November he says, hey, hope I'm not piling it on. I just saw you were on. And then on the 6th of November he says, hello.
It just keeps going.
Hello. Emily continues her thread by saying, as far as I know, I'm not the only nor the first person he's done this to. He would try to assure me everything is fine, while also clearly trying to initiate fetish italicized text RP. She then shows some more Discord screenshots.
Oh,
this
yay.
one is from the 9th of September where she says to him, that's what I thought too, lol. I was like, I could fix this, but it's funnier if it's flawed. At times I do miss the versatility of the old avatar. It was fun to mess with. Chugga responds, is that the face you make if I ran off with your shoes at a con? She responds, laughing my ass off, something like that. Chugga responds, ha 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 ha. What would you even do? This next—
She's not indicating she's not into the conversation there, but like his replies are still really cringe.
DM is from September 13th, where Chuggaaconroy says, yeah, being forward with you because I'd rather not keep anything from you, and let you make the best decision for you. I am into that, but only with my significant other. I just also like talking about shoes with people because it's also an interest. I talked with my significant other about this when we started dating, and she told me I can talk about shoes with other people because it isn't sexual with my friends. It's some—
Nah, dog, it's clearly sexual here. Okay, so now we're already, okay, now he's saying, my girlfriend's okay with it as long as we're only talking about shoes because it isn't sexual. But then he's trying to elicit, like, sexual roleplay and, like, feet pics for him to jack off to. Okay. Okay. What have I walked back into? I'm sorry, Enceladus.
Something I enjoy talking about with my friends too. I know that might be a lot to share, and I'm sorry if it is, but I feel it's best to just be open with people and consider what I'd like to know if I were in their position. Emily then responds to Chuggaaconroy sometime within 20 minutes of the last message we read out, and then Chuggaaconroy responds, "Good, glad we understand each other," walks.
Okay, I will say one thing that's a little odd is that her reply there is cut out. Because his reply sounds like he's replying to her saying, yeah, we're good. We're good with this conversation. Good. Glad we understand each other. Walks up behind you. And yeah, like, yeah, I don't know. It seems weird that the reply, or the thing that he's replying to here, isn't there. Am I delusional here, chat? Do you guys feel like the way that what it seems like he's responding to a message that, if included, could maybe change the context of the situation a little? Nah, you got a point, Zan? Because it feels like he's replying to an affirmative message. It seems like he's replying affirmatively to a message. Now, I will say, like, he's already admitted to, like, cheating on his girlfriend effectively. So there's already that. Like, that's pretty clear that he's cheating on his girlfriend because this is clearly sexual. And he said that his girlfriend's okay with it as long as it's not sexual. And it is. So he's definitely cheating in some way, shape, or form, I would argue. And that's, worth criticism. But I don't know. I'd like to see what message he's responding to here. I really would.
Up behind you and trips you with some fancy footwork. You thud to the ground, and I yank your sneakers off in an instant. Ha ha ha! Loser! Chucks them at you. Lady Emily continues her thread by saying, "It had started with him attending my Pokemon Black streams last December and chatting. We started talking in DMs because he seemed chill. Then on June 4th, I uploaded a selfie, and he zoomed into my shoes in the background and messaged me about them. She then shows this selfie she tweeted, where her shoes just happened to be in the background, and then some DMs from Chuggaaconroy that starts out by him saying, 'Nice sneakers.' She responds, 'Lol, thank you. I need new ones, to be honest. My everyday pair is starting to see some damage, lol.' Chugga responds, 'Seems sadly typical due to thin fabric.' She responds, 'Yeah. The curse of liking shoes that aren't durable. Got them on sale though, so for $20, can't complain. Hope you've been doing well.' Chugga responds, 'Hey, thank you. I just finished editing a video that was nuts to make. It covers the small you can develop in Pokemon.' An hour later into the conversation, Chuggaaconroy asks, 'So like, do you have a P.O. box?' She responds, 'Not at the moment, no.' Chugga responds, 'Oh well, I was going to see if I could partake in birthday niceness.' They then talk about Pokemon for a bit more, and then Chuggaaconroy says, 'If I may be so bold, sneaker size?' She responds, 'Oh, generally around this size.'
This is like the foot fetishist's equivalent of asking a girl for her cup size. Christ.
Give or take a little. But it's usually what works most often. Chugga responds,
Don't
nice.
ask a girl for her
She
cup
responds,
size.
yeah. And then Chugga says, okay, well, I'll figure something out. Not sure if you have any
Don't do that, by
dislikes
the
for
way.
me
Don't
to
like
be
it.
aware of. Emily continues her Twitter thread by saying, convos would often derail suddenly. One moment we'd be talking about Nintendo games, and then it would shift immediately to feet talk. He was very persistent in commenting how big my feet are. I tried to respond with blunt jokes to make the vibes less creepy out of nerves.
Dog, okay, I'm sorry, but like, I do not want to victim blame, okay? But when it's messages, there's a certain point where the creepy dude messaging you about your feet, you just gotta block them. Maybe, like, okay. I have a friend who has a policy that any girl that he dates, when, like, a weirdo dude comes into her DMs, if she doesn't block the dude, it's a red flag. It's very, like, I kind of agree with that. I think it, not because of, like, a red flag of them as a person, but a red flag that they maybe don't have certain, basically, the go-to response is, I don't want to be mean whenever it comes to stuff like this. I don't want to block him because I don't want to be mean. And while obviously the weirdo shouldn't be being weird in your DMs in the first place, you also have to look out for yourself too. And I hate that response. And I think a lot of people do. This idea that, like, I can't block the weirdo in my DMs because I don't want to be mean. I understand that kind of fear in a real life situation, because if you reject a guy who's like standing in front of you, he might like kill you. But when we're talking about a dude over the internet, especially a YouTuber, you've got like admittedly a lot of leverage over, just because you could release this stuff and like destroy him if he does some weirdo, creepy, stalkery shit. I feel like this should have never gone as far as it did, right? Am I being like a piece of shit victim blamer here, or is my point valid that like if the weird feet talk was always making her uncomfortable, I feel like the conversation should have ended like a while ago. Because for me, I would have blocked this person like right away. The second they started asking me about shoes, like for one, the only message they would have gotten back at most would be, "I'm glad you enjoy the content," and like a little heart or a smiley face. That's usually what I send in response to like nice messages I get in DMs. Because, you know, I want to make them feel like I'm not ignoring them. I feel bad if I feel like I'm ignoring someone. But if they followed up with some weird shit, I don't feel a little bit bad about blocking them, okay? I'm not trying to, like, disparage Emily here. But, like, dog, look at this. Like, when asking about the P.O. box and, like, asking to send shoes, I don't know. I feel like the motives should have already been obvious at this point, and I don't want to, like, I feel like I'm victim blaming, but I think a lot more, particularly women, need to get comfortable blocking weirdos online. It's not mean. It's just block them, please. Zan, sometimes it's fun or jokingly at first, and it's hard to read into things because you're just getting to know them. Got to give it time and pick up patterns to see the red flags. I get that, Livy, but like, maybe it's the context we already know, but like, maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm not autistic. Maybe I'm not autistic because I feel like I'm really, really good at picking up on social cues. I don't always agree with like the cues that I get necessarily, which may lead to people thinking I'm autistic, but like, I feel like I'm really good at picking up on social cues. Like, I feel like I'm really good at noticing small things in the room, like just things about a conversation, like elephants in the room, you know? Like, I don't know. I feel like I have ADHD and not autism, you know? Like, if I have any type of neurodivergent bullshit going on, I don't know. Maybe I'm not autistic because I don't feel any hangups over blocking a weirdo, and I feel like I detect weirdos so quickly. Maybe that's a big reason why people say that I have like some sort of like ability to see the future when it comes to YouTubers or something, is because I'm just good at kind of picking up on vibes from people and knowing if there's there's probably something about them that I'm not gonna like, and maybe I notice it before everyone else does. That's happened a lot. So maybe it's just that. Maybe I'm just good at detecting that kind of stuff. I notice it before a lot of you guys do, and you guys just don't see it before I do, and I look unreasonable. Like, I think that happened really bad with what was his name? Fuck. All this drama stuff literally leaves my brain because I don't have the capacity to like store it in my short-term memory. No, not Lancer Thought Slime. He's the one who made the video that almost caused me and Merrick to, like, me to burn the bridge with Merrick. How am I... FD Signifier. FD Signifier. I just remembered his name. I'm sorry. Listen, there's a lot of dumb fuck YouTubers who've, like, slandered me in the past. It's rough, okay? I was calling FD Signifier a dumb fuck a year and a half before he started making his like full-on call-out videos on lefty like folks, because he was having really dumb takes and was supporting really dumb people and takes on Twitter. I noticed that shit and made multiple videos calling him a dumb fuck, got tons of shit from the left for doing so, but then he made a video slandering Vosh, and then all of a sudden Zan was right all along. Yeah, I see how it is. Anyway, I don't want to get too off topic.
size? She responds, oh, generally around this size, give or take a little, but it's usually what works most often. Chugga responds, nice. She responds, yeah. And then Chugga says, okay, well, I'll figure something out. Not sure if you have any dislikes for me to be aware of. Emily continues her Twitter thread by saying, convos would often derail suddenly. One moment we'd be talking about Nintendo games, and then it would shift immediately to feet talk. He was very persistent in commenting how big my feet are. I tried to respond with blunt jokes to make the vibes less creepy out of nerves. She then shows video of these Discord DMs to prove that it's actually from Chuggaaconroy. I'll read out the relevant messages as I let the proof scroll by on the left-hand side. The start of the first video continues the conversation that we last read, with Emily responding, I'm sure whatever you get me I'll like. Chugga responds, haha, how nice of you. And then she responds, haha, of course. On June 7th, Chugga says, sent you some stuff today. I had a plan A I couldn't do because your feet were too darn big, so I went with a different idea. She responds, oh lol, I'm excited to see what it is. Thank you so much. Chugga responds, wow, you took what I said surprisingly well. She responds, laughing my ass off, I know my feet are big. It's a thing. I'm curious what plan A was. Chugga responds, hahaha, really? It's a thing you joke about? She responds, hahaha, I mean, I'm not supposed to advertise, but it's just kind of a fact of life. Chugga responds, hahaha, that's a fair...
I'm sorry, but like I said before, this conversation, like this entire thing should have ended a while ago, I feel, you know? Yeah, bro's clearly down bad. Yeah, she really, like, I do really think something needed to have been said in regards to, like, I'm not comfortable. Guys, is my short-term memory fucked, or has there not been any, besides the ghosting, has there not been any, like, explicit saying I'm not into that? Yeah, this isn't dirty talk like sexual. This is just dirty talk. They're just dirty. Yeah, I will say, something that's sort of a point in his ballpark is that, like, unless, obviously, like, I feel like the average autistic person would not be able to pick up on any signals that she's not into this by this point. Besides the ghosting, the fact that she replies to messages, replies lamau, replies positively, affirmatively to questions, he doesn't have any reason to think she's not into it. Like, she's engaging with it, you know? Like, listen, guys, I have every reason to be against this guy. I fucking hate feet people, and I'm disgusted by this conversation. But, like, if you're a Chuggaaconroy fan, unless you're just disgusted by the fact he's into feet, I don't think anything here suggests he's, like, a sexual harasser. Certainly not like a serial sexual harasser. He's just being autistic here and cringe and gross and cheating on his girlfriend for sure. He's definitely doing that as well. Yeah, I'm not even going to say she doesn't seem engaged. She seems engaged. She seems to want some free shoes. I'm not going to lie. Listen, no hate to her for it. Listen, but it seems clear she let this go on a bit longer because she knew she was going to get some free shoes out of it, okay? And I know women, and I know they like their shoes, okay? And I know that a lot of women are willing to endure some creepy messages and pretend like they're into it if it means they get some shoes, all right?
Stance on the issue. I'm lucky I'm a 12. One size bigger and no shoe stores would carry my size. These next set of messages I want to show are from September 13th, and they're just talking about a video game, but then suddenly Chuggaaconroy responds, okay, I'm gonna miss your shoes. It was kind of nice being their caretaker again. Looks at them in my hands. As hard as it was at times, they stunk horribly. She responds, oh yeah, sorry about that. It is what it is. And then Chugga responds, man, big and stinky? You've got it all.
Uh-oh, stinky. That's gonna be the text in the thumbnail of this video. Uh-oh, stinky.
And then Emily makes one last tweet in her Chuggaaconroy thread when she says, and for those of you asking how I know it was his actual Discord and not an impersonator I was talking—
Wait, dog, Wait, okay. Hold on. Why are we not seeing her response to this message? Dog, if she did not respond in a, like, non-averse way at all to this message, that's an indication she's not uncomfortable with this. I'm sorry, consent matters, and a lack of saying no is not consent. But when it comes to something like flirty messages, that's the level, that's where you kind of have to play. You have to play it cool. You have to meet the person where they're at, right? Somebody like, if you want to flirt with a girl that you like, right? Somebody has to be the first one to do the flirting. You can wait forever for her to flirt with you if she's into you, if you think she's into you, or you can, like, take it to a 0.5% and see how she responds. Maybe she does nothing. Maybe she indicates she's not into it, and maybe she indicates she is into it, and maybe ups it a 0.5% or a percentage, you know? And the idea is that you match each other, and maybe you overtake each other in the flirtiness when you feel comfortable, just a little, you know? You don't, like, because the fact is, when you're just getting into that area with someone, you've already talked and you're trying to get into, like, a flirty area with them, like, it's not just as simple as, hey, I like you. Do I have consent to engage in flirtatious behavior with you? That is even more autistic of a thing to ask. It requires this certain level of social understanding where you can kind of ride the line of not overstepping boundaries and making the person you're flirting with uncomfortable, which you don't want to do for a variety of reasons. For one, you don't want to make them uncomfortable because you care about them. You care about consent. You care about, like, the boundaries of this person. But you also don't want to put yourself in the super awkward, fucked up situation of, like, fumbling the shit out of a situation like this, especially if you're friends with the person you're talking to. So when you're flirting with somebody, and we're not talking about explicitly sexual, like, in-person stuff, there's no, like, unless somebody outright says, I'm not into this, can you please stop talking like this? If you're going with it, the consent for the flirting is kind of implied. This does not stretch, obviously, to sex or, like, any type of physical contact. But if we're talking about, like, just flirty interactions, you kind of have to, like, give off an impression that you're not into it if you're not into it, for it to end. If you play into his upping of the flirtatiousness, if he responds, your feet are big and stinky, you've got it all, and you don't respond in a grossed out way or an averse way, you've met him at his level of flirtation. He has no other thing to suspect other than, like, oh, she's into it. Like, these screenshots are being framed like they're super damning, and what they are is cringe and disgusting. Okay, so I do almost disagree here, Zan. I'm actually really curious to hear a take from someone who disagrees, because I feel like I'm like, I don't know, you know? I feel like, oh, you're talking about disagreeing about the messages being gross. Is that what you disagree with, Cookie Cat? Does anyone here think I'm, like, listen, I don't want to do any type of weird victim blamey shit. I'm curious if people think I'm being crazy right now. I want to hear arguments against what I'm saying, because, like, if there are arguments, I want to hear them now. Nah, I slightly disagree with you here, and rejecting people is quite hard for me. Okay. Okay, we're getting into some spicy territory here when we talk about people who have a hard time rejecting others. Consent is really important. And a lack of a yes when it comes to sex is not consent. If there is no explicit, enthusiastic yes consent, like a clear yes, there is no consent. And obviously consent can be revoked at any time. We all know this. I hope we all know this, right? But that's sex. That's like kissing or like holding hands or physical contact. Like, that's the kind of thing you nudge at a question as to whether or not you're okay with doing that, right? As things unfold. When we're talking about, like, the beginning of it all and making it flirty, it's going to be awkward, and you have to be capable of saying yes or no, or at the very least, not playing into the flirtation. What I explicitly did say that I wasn't comfortable with what was up, but like that awkwardness made it hard for me to assert myself, I guess. Asserting yourself is far easier on the internet, though, so I think it's a bit different here. Hell, you don't have to... you can just block the guy. Yeah, that's what I think was the best move here. Like, after the messages started to get creepy, the move is to immediately block. Like, the fact is, it was obvious from the start, once the messages started getting weird and flirty, what the intentions of this person are. And I really feel like a lot of women, like, have a tendency to try and I'm not saying this in the incel-y way, I'm saying this in, like, a very objective way. They try to friend zone dudes that they know are into them. What I mean is, like, continue to be friends with dudes they know are into them because of some flirtatious interaction or admittance of feelings. And that is rarely a good idea. That is rarely not a recipe for some sort of drama or something down the road. Like, and this is more of a dude problem. Like, one of the big issues is that it's hard to not feel like I'm victim blaming when I'm trying to explain the psychology that, like, the most dangerous dudes have, right? Like, I'm trying to explain the mindset that dangerous dudes have and the kind of, like, mindset you need to have to deal with them and avoid them in the safest way. And I'm really trying not to make it sound like some sort of, like, victim blaming or, like, you need to do this or you deserve to get whatever, right? I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to explain that, like, dudes like this can behave in dangerous ways, which is breaking your boundaries, if you do not make your boundaries clear. Which, I'm going to be honest, I have not seen her make her boundaries clear here outside of ghosting him for days on end. That's the only area where she's really made her boundaries clear. And ghosting someone is not a very clear indication of your boundaries. Like, it's clear that, like, he was messaging for days on end thinking, maybe she just hasn't seen my messages, right? Like, I think the ghosting was the right thing, but a block would have been more decisive. It would have been saying what needed to be said without saying it, while also not just leaving him there to spam you messages in your DMs.
Big and stinky? You've got it all. And then Emily makes one last tweet in her Chuggaaconroy thread when she says, and for those of you asking how I know it was his actual Discord and not an impersonator I was talking to, beyond the fact that I ran it by mutuals of ours to make sure it was valid, here's our first connection over Twitter leading up to things going to Discord. She then shares the proof, and once again I'm going to read out the relevant messages for you. Chuggaaconroy reached out to her on December 30th, 2022 by saying, that is nuts. As someone who worked with a lot of conventions, everyone kinda always knew Vic was weird. People just kept letting him do it for so long, because he was so popular and drew in crowds. She responds, God yeah, that's what I've heard from everyone. I remember meeting him in 2009 at a con, and even then I knew he was kinda weird around me. His downfall has been a long time coming, and he has no one to blame but himself. Chugga responds,
ironic that this is how their first conversation started.
Seriously, I had dinner with him once through a mutual friend, and he wore leather pants, and talked about how hot he is, and this was like, in a hotel lobby burger place. She responds, oh my god, yeah, that tracks. Chuggaaconroy then responds by talking about Pokemon, and this conversation about video games and movies and stuff continues until February 16th, 2023, when Chuggaaconroy asks if she wants his Discord, and then she sends it to him. And that's about it for these
Yeah, like, everything seems like they were just friends for a while, talking, like, platonically. It like went to Discord. He made it flirty, and that's a big problem because he's cheating on his girlfriend, clearly, because, like, yeah, we saw the messages from before where he said, like, my girlfriend's fine with shoe talk as long as it's not sexual, and then here he is, like, down bad in Emily's DMs. So he's definitely a cheater. I think that's the worst thing he did here is cheat. I think the idea that these constitute evidence of, like, sexual harassment, like, by intent at least, or like, I really don't think, as far as sexual harassment, this is evidence that is solid enough to, like, cancel him over. I'm gonna be honest. It really feels like he just kind of is weird and autistic. That's kind of just the vibe that I get, and being in defeat is also weird. So that kind of, I feel like a lot of people are going to err on this being inappropriate simply because they see feet, and I do too, they see being attracted to feet as weird and cringe. And so, like, that's really not helping Chuggaaconroy's case here. If he was just engaging in, like, non-feet related flirting, I actually think most people would be more leaning towards where I'm at right now. If you do not stand for yourself and you don't assert your fucking boundaries, you cannot be fucking surprised when people overstep those boundaries. I'm sorry, but people are not able to tell over text that you're uncomfy. Yeah, I mean, I think you worded it pretty harshly, but I think we need to emphasize that if it is impossible, reasonably, for the other party to even know what your boundaries are, I feel like you cannot morally judge that person for overstepping them. Because they're trying to find where the boundary is, and you functionally made that boundary invisible. Like, you can't shock someone for stepping over an invisible electric fence, you know? Like, I get it. It's bad they stepped over that boundary anyway, but, like, it has to be visible. Like, they have to be able to see it. And I don't feel like Chuggaaconroy saw the boundary here, you know?
Allegations so far. I mean, I really shouldn't even call it allegations because it's pretty much been proven that it is him, but on the internet, you can't be too safe. I'll just say...
Oh, by the way, Cookie Cat, I'm not talking about your story. I'm talking about this one.
Allegations for now. Regardless, this situation has blown up on Twitter, gaining nearly 4 million views in the last 5.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. This is rough for Chuggaaconroy, man. This is rough. I mean, I don't think he did anything that morally bad other than cringe and gross, but, ugh. Did he make an apology? Is it on Twitter or YouTube? Must be on Twitter. Oh, I found the apology. I'll read it in a sec. Let me take a sippy. Emily's also responded to it? Okay. Hey, I want to say I'm sorry to Emily and to you, our community. I apologize for my mistake of overstepping the boundaries of our friendship and causing her to hurt in the process. This will not happen again. Short and concise. I'd rather have time to collect my thoughts than react immediately and ask that you do not contact my friends about this. I will talk more about this in a few days. It's actually a pretty good response. I mean, overall, like, saying, hey, I'm sorry, but I will do something more, like, elaborate in a few days, but I want time to do so. Honestly, that's the best way to handle it. What are the comments like? Take all the time you need. I'm just glad you weren't too silent about this and you apologized right away. Good idea to respond instead of reacting. Are you going to do some soul searching? Take your time. A lot of this was overwhelming and it hurts to see that this happened and that it was actually you. But I also believe that people can change, and if you can go from the wannabe edgy guy from 15 years ago to now, then I think you can learn here as well. As you should, we all trust that you'll do the right thing. Emil, controversy is always overwhelming for not just the people involved, but also a plethora of individuals. I believe. I support you, Emil. I'm not sure what to feel about this myself, but I also understand it's not my business to feel anything about it. I'm not involved. A lot of people are being a little bit, like, iffy. Like, it's very clear they've got a bias in favor of him, and even if it was bad what came out, they probably would support him anyway. Let me see if I can find... Oh. Thanks, Twitter. The count I was looking for came up for half a second and then disappeared. Apparently Lady Emily replied. Here it is. Read the apology. While I'm not sure if I fully accept, I do wish the best in growing from this. I find the framing of this as a simple mistake concerning. So far, I've talked to half a dozen women who have shared similar stories. I hope your future apology acknowledges that. Okay, if there's half a dozen other women who have, like, more damning evidence than what I saw here, then that can change everything. But if all these other women are all just like, yeah, I was friends with Chuggaaconroy, and then he started flirting with me and was into feet, and he was sending me free shoes, and, you know, I played into it for a while to get a few free pairs of shoes, but then I ghosted him, and look how creepy the messages are. But I never indicated to him that it was... If it's more of that, then I'm gonna feel, like, mega red-pilled by this whole situation, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. The fact that there's a claim that there's more women who supposedly have accusations is like, you know, a pretty good thing for her case, I will say, but, like, I don't know. This situation seems messy. I don't feel like any, like, solid evidence has come out. I feel like Chuggaaconroy could come out with a video with context to those of, like, the messages that he was responding to that almost seemed like she was being affirmative that she was into what was happening, that could change everything. Yeah. This is about as, like, sexual harassment as a dude commenting on a girl's post show feet. It really doesn't seem like it's that bad. Just really, really cringe. Yeah, pretty comparable to the Verbalace situation, honestly. Although, I'd honestly say Verbalace is less, like, bad in this situation because no one claims they were, like, you know, in any way made uncomfortable, like, personally by what he did, you know? Like, there's no, like, supposed victim in the situation. Yeah, I hope that those other women do talk about their experience to see if he's done anything worse, but considering how Emily talks about hoping for the best, it feels like it could most likely just be mega cringe. Yeah, that's the way I see it. I will tell you now, Chugga won't do that. It's just not his nature or style. Yeah, I mean, if this is not what it seems, then I would want him to clear the air if that's the case, but... I mean, if there's more to this that we don't know from these other women, then I hope we find that out too, because right now, I admit, it's not the most compelling, admittedly. I'm curious to see the comments down below. Maybe more things come out before this video ends up releasing, and it makes me look really bad for having this take, but, yeah. Comment down below what you think. I'm really curious, especially on this video.